Well, I think Evans and Yellen's comments are pretty much the same here, actually. I think the game changer for me, there are a couple of things here. Yellen was extremely specific. We haven't seen that for a long time. And mentioning the currency, and not just the currency, but actually saying cannot go higher, the dollar cannot go higher. So from a currency perspective, I think that's pretty important.
Okay, pretty important. And do you also get the sense from that Economic Club of New York speech that this is Yellen not just trying to reinforce the view that, look, the dot plot's gone from 42, but basically more stamping her authority on what the Fed is doing and saying, look, all these voices, all well and fine, but you got to listen to me.
That's exactly how I read it. Right. I think this is something we used to see from the Fed, that the chairman was the one you really listened to, and I think this may be coming back. I think it was a really explicit talk and something different, and that's why I see it as a game changer. I think we now know exactly what to focus on, and it's not just inflation in the US and the labor market. It's very much also, the international developments, financial markets, and the strength of the dollar.
Does that suggest that she's been talking a bit more to Lil Brainerd? She's got that kind of experience, right, from over at her Treasury days. But anyway, okay, so what is outlook for dollar then, if we're talking about a 2, not 4?
Well, with this in mind, and not just the 2, not 4, but the data dependency not only being domestic US, I think the caution is what we need to look out for here, and the strength of the dollar. And to me, that means that I think we'll hear the dollar mentioned much more. I think the currency wars as such are over, because all the major economies and central banks could actually weaken their currency against the dollar and claim victory. But now when the US are stepping in and the Fed are stepping in and it's somehow into the currency war, I think that's going to be difficult. And that means I think we can see pressure on the dollar from now on for this reason.
Does that mean then necessarily that divergence trades are dead?
Well, I think it means that we can now look at a broader picture, and we can look at relative value between emerging markets instead of having this risk-on, risk-off trade against the dollar all the time. I think it's important that the caution brings in the dollar, so every time we see the dollar go too strong, well, they're not going to hike. Whereas if the economy rolls along and the dollar doesn't go stronger, then there's room to hike. So we have to keep the dollar element in our thought every time we think about a future hike.
Okay, including dollar renminbi?
Well, same kind of scenario, but I think some of the other commodity-driven economies against the dollar right now look much more interesting.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about Japan if we could. There's a sense that, look, Abe's running out of options, right? He's going to be leaning on Mr. Kuroda. Look, do more. Let's go deeper into QQE and maybe even do it before I talk to the G7 in May and bring out this new fiscal stimulus weapon that I've got in my back pocket here. Is the BOJ going to act as early as next month?
I doubt it.
Or, starting tomorrow, April?
I doubt it. I think last time we didn't really see the effect. I mean, if there was any kind of desired currency effect on the move, it must have been a big disappointment. I mean, the yen has strengthened about 7% against the dollar since the day they announced. So I think they're really worried about negative interest rates, or they should be, and the effect. I mean, we've seen 3 central banks go negative or more negative this year, and the currency has strengthened every single time, Swedish krona and the yen being 2 of them.